All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blink Radio 94.5. I am Jem the Revelator. Today is a show that I'm extremely excited about because it touches three things I'm excited about: parenting, coaching, and soccer. Did you get to hear things like this? Please welcome our special guest, renowned international instructor and all-star coach, Donnie Hall.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. Can't wait to get started. I know the way we banter back and forth is going to be entertaining.
Absolutely. So, Donnie, really excited to have you on the show today. So many things to talk about, but let's talk about the most exciting thing happening in Miami that a lot of people are jazzed about, and that is David Beckham and his boots coming into Miami and bringing us a real soccer team. Like, what do you think?
When I think of David Beckham, I just think of posh. I mean, but no, seriously, no, that's fantastic news. That's a great. I mean, to have his name on the idea of having youth sports soccer here doesn't get much bigger than that, right?
I don't think so.
You have to dig up Pele or something and prop him up on a stick to get any bigger than David Beckham.
I know. So this is like a really unique opportunity. And I do remember, I've been here about 18 years. I didn't even know the Fusion existed, a previous soccer team, and they failed. And one of the reasons I read that they felt that they failed was that there was no community connection. In fact, they brought the team to Fort Lauderdale, where Americans live, and they didn't know what that white and black ball was moving around. They thought it was a hockey puck, inflated, and the team folded over time. This time, they got the colors right. We got the pink, right, to match the flamingos. We got the superstar in his boots, David Beckham. But you just touched on a really important point, which is the youth connection and supporting kids learning how to play. And Donnie, I understand you've done amazing things in all types of sports. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that and how that could actually make a difference for a huge stadium that's coming in with a new team. Like, how do we do things differently so kids will actually have an interest and have a loyal following for a big stadium like that and team?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one that has been a bit of a challenge, I think, going back probably since the 1950s when they started doing research on attrition with kids in sports. That's when the first big attrition studies took place. And in those days, at around age 12, 13, we were losing about half of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
These days, that attrition rate's up to 70, 80%. So obviously, we're not going in the right direction with that.
Right.
And one of the main factors is that we are taking the fun away from the game. That's, in essence, what we're doing. Our focus has been, in the last couple of decades, about winning. Winning. It's
results.
Yeah, it's all outcome-based. Pat the back of the coach because, hey, I got another W today.
Yeah.
And the coach, which 85% of them are coaching on a volunteer basis, and a high percentage of them, in the neighborhood of 90%, are coaching their own kids. There's no bias there, right?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
So who's going to be my star player?
Yeah. Logan, you're playing point.
That's it, right? So what happens to these other guys, though? This
Yeah.
other guy that wants to play point, who we've already determined, just because his name isn't the same as mine, you get to sit on the end of the bench and you get your 5 minutes of cleanup at the end of the game.
But it works in Game of Thrones, the whole lineage thing, right?
So, but I mean, seriously though, if you are that child, and this is what we fail to do, is see sports from a child's perspective. Every child is going there with the idea that this is fun and this will be fun, but we prove to them that it's not, because it's no fun to sit and watch a game when everybody else, all your peers, are out there doing exactly what you want to do, and the influencer, the coach, is saying, you're not good enough.
Wow.
Sit on the bench.
That's some powerful negative messaging.
That's what it is. We don't have to articulate those words. It's our actions that speak to the child.
And how does that affect a kid growing up through life? If they live that on the floor, do they live that in the office?
Absolutely. This is the real scary factor that we're doing, that I really feel is a big sin when it comes to youth sports. Sports is one of the greatest things that can ever happen to a person, because it's real life. It's moment-to-moment challenges. Get knocked down, get back up, grit. You can develop grit by participating in sports. But that's the key factor. You got to participate. If you're sitting on the sidelines, you're watching other people succeed. And you're also getting the message that, oh, they're good enough and I'm not good enough. Repeat this message, go up. Now you're a teenager, you get some confirmation bias because somebody else tells you the same sort of thing. Oh, you're not good enough because you got a C in math. Okay, boom, 2 times, I'm not good enough. Now you get to that position in life, you want that job, promotion, right?
Yeah.
You've got your degree from Barry University and you're going up against the guy that has one from Yale. Ooh, I'm not good enough. So are you going to have the attitude that you need to be in front of the guy that's going to give you that opportunity?
Is grit the attitude that's going to rise above Barry over Yale?
Absolutely. Of course it is. It's confidence. It's self-confidence. When you portray self-confidence and you need experience to develop that, you can do anything.
You just said a key thing, experience. What you're saying is, if you go with the Game of Thrones mentality, results only, nepotism, you got kids sitting on the floor, they're not going to learn that grit. They're not going to be able to develop any confidence. You just burnt 8+ years of sports, whatever that word is, developing a child who has no confidence or anything. So for a lot of parents, and I don't want to call out moms, but I hear a lot of them, they really, really focus a lot on academics as if that's going to save their kid. You're telling me there needs to be a balance, that with sports, there's a huge value piece. It's not about chasing balls and having fun only, that it's bringing something internal inside them that drives them. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's that, and it's even deeper. It's all about the communication factor. All right, that's where we're missing. That's the missing link. Adults speak a certain way and understand a certain way. Okay, children are different. They are adults under construction. They will go through different phases and different levels of ability to understand the world and perceive the world.
Right.
And we don't make that connection properly. Even school teachers fail to do this. We lump all of our kids together based on a chronological age, which is just absurd.
Are you blue or pink? All right, pinks go over there.
Right. Everybody born on this year, we're all supposed to be at the same level. Well, that's not the plant seeds, guys. Go out there and grow a garden. Put seeds all down at the same time. I guarantee you they don't all grow up at the same time.
That's
Humans don't do the same thing either.
Yeah.
We all have a developmental pace and a rate that we grow up, but we have a system that we need to follow because we're this big giant country and a big giant planet, and we need to do things systematically to make it work. But we're not being mindful of the fact that human beings don't work well with those kind of systems that don't fit with nature.
So you just mentioned something really important. So I met a gentleman that played for the LA Galaxy professional soccer team right before David Beckham went. And he said the same thing, that kids don't have that inside them, and that they just basically are so stuck in their heads that he says that's why the United States does not have any Neymars without the rolling, or Messis or Ronaldos, because there's no instinct, there's no grit, and they have no confidence. So they're always in their head of what things are supposed to go, like you said, that big system.
Right. Yeah, my understanding of what's happening with soccer is that it really doesn't make any sense. If you look at it objectively speaking, the United States fields more children on soccer fields than in any other region of the planet.
So true.
I mean,
they have soccer moms.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, when they get to be at the adult level, you would imagine with all that population, we should have won a couple of World Cups by now, right?
I agree.
But we're losing them. Why are we losing them? Because we're burning them out. We're doing this year-round stuff. Okay, you're a soccer player. You like soccer at age 6.
Yeah.
Play soccer for the rest of your life, okay? And play it
That's
year-round.
Oprah calling.
Yeah, sorry, Oprah. I'm on radio. Get you later. But basically, we there's this key thing that people gravitate to, and sponsors endorse.
Okay.
Specialization.
Specialization.
Okay.
Why do they do that?
Okay, so there's a guy by the name of Malcolm Gladwell put out a book in 2008 called...
Which this radio station's named after, Blink Radio. Just FYI.
Oh, there you go. So he wrote a book called Outliers, okay?
Okay.
And basically what he did was expanded upon this theory that came out in 1993 by Anders Ericsson.
Okay.
What he was trying to do is disprove that genetics has everything to do with elite performance. He wanted to prove that it just takes time and practice to create elite performance.
Right.
And he came up with the 10-year rule.
10-year rule. Tell us more about that.
You need 10,000 hours of practice before you become elite at any
10,000 hours at anything.
Well, it started out as a study just in the musical world, right?
Yeah.
He went to a compository, collected journals, looked at pianists and violinists, and came up with this theory. He did a couple of passive polling calls, calling on other researchers. But Gladwell took it another step, and he did even further research and determined that it doesn't matter if you're a musician or whatever it is. You just need 10 years to practice, and you'll be an elite performer.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So you talked about 10,000 hours, doesn't matter what it is or who you are or where you are. And I understand you have students all around the world in 25 different countries. Tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, a lot of those are it's mostly a parenting program at this point, but parenting and coaching go hand in hand because it's all about understanding the child's mindset, right? And again, I think it's like 85% of all volunteer coaches are parents.
So true.
They're parenting their own child.
Yeah.
Along with these other.
I'm one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I have 4 kids. I've coached them all up, and they've all been on my team. I've also been a coach where I didn't have any children, and that really changes the perspective, and that's what we really need more of. We need more volunteers in that respect. But getting back to your question, the parents and the coaches just are missing the ability to understand the language of the child.
It's the language of the child.
The language of the child. And the language of the child comes from emotion first. You see, as creatures, we are born emotionally first. That's our first language.
Oh, that's interesting.
We are emotional creatures first. Later on, we will learn our linguistic language. And we will struggle to make that connection between feelings and emotions to words. And even as an adult, there are times, I mean, this happened just before the Air Guides. I was, hugging Jim and telling him how much I appreciate this opportunity. And I was at a loss for words for my feelings. So even as adults, we can't strap our heads around with enough words to actually express what we're really feeling. Imagine what a child's going through. They got all these feelings. They don't have the vocabulary that an adult would have. They're just learning words. So they will say, hey, I like to play sports because it's fun.
Huh.
Okay, what is fun? Let's define fun. Well, guess what, guys? We do have research on that from George Washington University.
Really?
They actually went and did the research, and they came up with 85 definitions of the word fun via children. Okay? And guess what isn't at the top of the list of fun?
What is it?
Winning is not at the top of the list. In fact,
wow.
They came up with the 82, I think it was 82, not 85, 82 variations. Number 82, the least of the fun things for girls was winning.
Wow, the least of the 82.
There are 81 other things that they consider fun over winning. And with boys, it's in the mid-40s. So there's another 40 things that kids do that they consider to be fun that has nothing to do with winning. You know what the number one thing is? I want to play.
Wow.
I just want to play. Just let me play, coach.
Play.
And I want to play where I have contact with the ball. So if you're in basketball, let everybody play the point guard position. Yeah. Even if they're no good at it, it doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about wins and losses. We're here to develop you. We're here to create a better athlete, to get you to understand that, hey, you're an equal with everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's all about effort. Award the effort. There's a great book by what's her name, Diane. Forget her name, but we'll get back to you later on that one. But she put out this book called Mindset, and it's all about. They took case studies of kids that were C students, right? And they on one side of the class they taught the standard way.
Yeah. And
the kids remained C students. The other side of the class, they didn't talk about their grades ever. All they talked about was this is how your mind works, okay? And then every time they put forth effort, they got big praise for it. So they just prayed. And would you know that within 6 months those C students became A students?
Wow.
Because we focus on the effort.
So you say...
Give me effort. And that is exactly one of the top 5 reasons, or top 5 definitions for fun for children. I want to try hard. I like the effort. They want to try hard. They're saying trying hard is fun.
Wow.
So, but if we take it away and we say, hey, your effort is meaningless because it's all about the outcome, boy, we just destroyed fun in their minds, right?
So you basically crippled them before you even got out the door.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So the great philosopher Alan Watts used to use a word that you just did, which was you've got to think of play. You play the piano, you play basketball, you play all these wonderful things, and beautiful, unforeseen things appear and change people's lives. But you don't work the piano. You don't work the basketball. Once work comes in, there's nothing magical anymore. So you really made a really good point there. And the next thing you said is process and effort. You know, I love this guy named James Clear. I get his emails once a week, and he always talks about that process. And I was in the 80s, and we all wanted to be like Schwarzenegger. It's about the results.
Right.
And what I'm learning, even at 44,000 years old, is that it's the process. I want to feel good. I'm going to commit every day to doing something and finding the joy in that, which is getting me personally at my life right now to a place of fun where I enjoy just the little things. Like, for example, we went to Washington, D.C. because I've wanted to watch Wayne Rooney play out of Manchester United since I've even heard of him 8 years ago.
Yeah, I love that guy too.
So
fast, right? Super fast. I mean, I don't know how fast he is these days, but he used to be lightning quick.
Lightning guy. He still has. He scored 2 goals. The kids had a blast, but something that struck me at that match was, oh my gosh, Americans are actually involved in terms of the cheering they have at the support section. And I actually felt like I was in the golfing section. And I realized that my body felt better when I stood up and clapped. And then I looked up at the New York Red Bulls, who they were playing in their stands. Shirts were off, drums were flying. And I'm like, Jesus, just even in the audience, if I'm not making an effort, my body doesn't feel good. My thoughts aren't that good. I was hearing complaints, why are their numbers at 90s? Why do they have the 90s number? I mean, that kind of chatter. But man, once we started to get into it and scream, DC United, you know, it was a big difference. Even as a fan watching a sport, I see a huge difference. Now you're saying do the same thing in sports.
Yeah, we're designed to move. I mean, it's bottom line, human beings are designed to move. We're not plants. We're not supposed to sit in chairs all day long. Yeah, that's what we do a lot. We're all stuck in front of a computer, you know, tap. And our kids are doing that. And this is a big problem because we have more sedentary opportunities for children than ever before. The video game craze, all the little tiny devices. They're not designed for you to actually move anything but your thumbs anymore, right? I mean, everybody's going to have these masculine Arnold Schwarzenegger thumbs in the next generation, and everything else will be shriveled up and
little worms.
That'll be it. But we're designed to move. So, yeah, if you get up in the stadium and you're cheering, you're moving. You're doing exactly what your body's designed. And it's just like with a kid. A kid doesn't want to sit on a bench. That's not his design. That's not his purpose. We're all designed to move. Get him up. Let him move. And, you know, I like some of the ideas that are coming from the areas that you were talking about, the soccer world, smaller sizes, smaller teams, you know, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 6-on-6, these more touches, more opportunities.
Touches. Yeah.
That's playing. You know, the 11-on-11 for little kids, you know, it's going to be a mosh pit first of all, and the ball never moves anywhere, and then you pull it back and all the sod is gone, and there's earthworms popping up with signs saying stop it already, stop it. I mean that's youth league soccer. So you make it smaller, make the goals bigger or tinier, just play with it in such a way that it remains fun. That's what we need to think of
fun and
as
play
adults.
and
is
effort.
Just think, keep it fun, and keep asking the kids what is fun. They will tell us what's fun. They'll show us what's fun.
So let's talk a little bit. You've got an amazing book called Magic, Illusion, and Unbelievable Truth of Youth League Sports. And I'm going to try that again because it's a long word. So I'm always Magic, Illusion, and Unbelievable Truth of Youth League Sports, written by Coach Donnie Llama and Oliver Stone, because the way it's titled, it's like the true history of sports. So tell us more about that.
Okay.
And why did you write that book, first off?
Well, I've been coaching since 1977 in youth sports. That's my contribution to society, my volunteer work, right?
Yeah.
My work is advertising. That's my money-making side, right? So along the way, I did like every other coach. You know, I wanted to win. I had a winning, focused mentality. somewhere along the line, I was coaching for the YMCA, and we were in a playoff game, and this parent came running off the court in the middle of the game with his fist back, ready to punch a kid on the other team.
Wow.
Because that child had fouled his child 3 or 4 times in the game, and the referee didn't call it. And he's already cursing out the referee for a quarter.
That's incredible.
Right? And so he comes out, and this guy's a bull of a man. Like, he's like, he's a tank, low, squatty kind of guy. Looks like he's a power lifter dude. And not me. I'm, at the time I was probably 180 pounds, but I jump on his back, and he's carrying me like I'm a saddle.
Wow.
And I'm trying to choke him out because he's going to kill this kid, and
wow.
Everybody gets on the court. And so obviously we lose the game because we had to forfeit, So in retrospect, I look back and I go, what the hell went wrong there?
Yeah.
What is going on in our society that this kind of nonsense can be going on? And I started doing a little introspective, and I started doing some research. I came across this institution called the Youth Sports Institute out of University of Michigan. They've been studying youth sports and the activities between parents and adults all the way back to the 1970s. I read everything I could find on all those research papers, and I discovered the number of kids leaving sports. It's at an alarming rate, 70%.
70% of kids leave sports.
By the time they get to be around 11, 12, 13, they're flying out. The yearly attrition rate is in the 30s. So think about, if you think that every child on your club, on your team, is going to come back and play that sport next year, it's not happening.
My kids do the same thing, just so you know.
Yeah.
They won a championship in baseball. They won a championship and MVP on the flag football team.
Right.
My kids don't want to play this year. Like, even at that level where they succeeded,
yeah.
They don't want to because of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it gets too stress-filled. They don't want the stress. They don't like the way the parents behave. They don't like the way the coaches behave.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why they quit. And that's what was great about this YSI study. They looked at not just the attrition numbers, but the actual reasons why these kids were quitting. They asked them why they were quitting. And one of the big reasons is the behavior of parents and coaches and the fixation on winning. They just want to play. Most kids don't even care about a scoreboard. They just want to freaking play, man. That's all they want.
That's a very good point. Like, my 9-year-old, they got killed, like 27-0 in baseball. They had no idea they even lost. They're just running around with lollipops. You know what I mean? So what do you do when kids lose? Because I did notice that when they did lose, the sadness comes. It sucks. How do you deal with that? So it's like, next
start
time.
them playing again. Time and time again. I've seen it over and over. A kid just loses a championship game, jumps up in mommy daddy's arm, they're crying for about 5 minutes. Suddenly you hear the ball bouncing again. They turn it. Tears go away. I can go play again.
I think that's the great takeaway.
That's it.
So with this book, what can we learn from your book?
Well, this book is a real eye-opener, and it's much deeper than just a sports genre book.
Mm-hmm.
It really talks about parenting bias. Parenting bias. I'll try that word again.
Yeah.
And how we are just disillusioned and about reality. We all imagine our children to be way better than they actually are, or the other extreme, way worse than they actually are.
Yeah.
We're not really realistic. For example, there was some polling done where they asked a bunch of youth sports parents about their kids that were playing, and about 50% of the parents, imagine you got 8, 9-year-old 50% of 8, 9-year-old parents, right? The kids are 8, 9. Parents are not 8, 9. That would be a little bit young for a parent, but they're parents of these 8, 9-year-olds. They asked these parents what the chances were that their child might get a scholarship in college. Half of them believe that their child's going to get a scholarship in college. And do they even know what the statistics are? It's like 1 in 1,000 that you'll get a scholarship from that point. If you get up to the high school level, then the odds increase greatly. But
so it sounds like the casino, like maybe 100 years ago, your chances were pretty good. But everybody's figured that thing out. So nowadays it's like rolling the casino and the house always wins, and it's not the kids.
Well, here's the thing. You got 35 million kids playing youth league sports right now.
35 million.
There are not 17 million scholarships being handed out, folks.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
So for all those kids that are not going to make it, for the college
right.
scholarships, there's the rest of their life. So what you're basically
Right.
saying is use this as a platform for
Right.
development and creating the right attitudes and thoughts,
Right.
conversations.
And one of the big takeaways from the book is that there is a model out there that Canada, the entire country of Canada,
Really?
has endorsed. It's called the LTAD, Long-Term Athlete Development Model. Okay, this is the model. This is the best model. In fact, USA Basketball has adopted this
Really?
model as of 2013. If you go to their website and look up the childhood play or whatever, youth play, I think it's youth sports play, there's a whole article, whole page dedicated to the LTAD. This is the model that they recommend that all youth sports organizations follow. Nobody's following it though, because we've got this mentality of, we got to have a playoff system. It's all about wins and losses, and we're not doing anything that is recommended by the big guys. USA Basketball, that's FIBA basketball, that's NBA, that's the WNBA, that's NCAA. It's all the majors. They're all endorsing this, but the guys here locally, they don't matter, I guess. Let's just keep doing things the way we've always done it and continue with the 70% attrition rate. But by the way, folks, here locally on the island, I've done some research because I've been a coach here for many years. We're running a higher rate. It's around 75%. So we're doing an even better job of getting kids to quit.
Wow, that's incredible. So if you have that attitude, like you say, they run it, they get the messages, and it triggers people in their thoughts, their emotions, their thoughts, and when they run into it, what you're saying in life, they're going to have the same message again, and their program is quit.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest problem they have with millennials that they're complaining about? Quitters, lazy, no direction.
No grit. It's the opposite of grit.
Yeah, it's
Grit is get knocked down, get back up. Encourage them to get back up. What did you learn from that knockdown? Okay, let's learn from that and go forward. Quitting is just like, I have an obstacle. I don't like the obstacle. Avoid the obstacle. I'm not going to even try that. Let me sit down and do something that's easy, like level 1 on Mario Brothers.
Again and again.
So
with your coaching, a lot of people are going to say, wow, I love everything I'm hearing from you. And they're going to want to know, how can I learn more, or how can I teach my kids? I understand you have an amazing Udemy program. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what Udemy is, it's an online educational platform. It's udemy.com. You can go there. I think there's like 35 million students right now that are getting information off of Udemy. Or Udemy. I think it's Udemy. It doesn't really matter. Point is, I have a number of courses on there. I'm in the process of creating course number 8, but there is one specifically for you parents and coaches out there that want to know about how to better connect with your child, but more importantly, if you want to be a coach, how to get that child to want to play for
Motivation.
you. Right. It's called Become the Coach That Everybody Wants to Play For. That's the course. If you take that course, you're going to learn about early childhood development. You're going to learn about the pioneers of the LTAD, this whole model, what it's all about, where your child should be, what they should be doing at different levels, a full understanding of what it is, so you can then go to your local community and say, hey, this is what it is, and you'll have the knowledge to be able to actually talk about it.
Intelligently.
Okay? Yeah.
So for our listeners, do they just go to udemy.com?
Or quicker, just go to my Facebook page, Star Family Coaching. I already put a coupon there because for all you wonderful listeners, the course is $200, but for all these wonderful listeners, I got a coupon for $9.99.
That's like 1,000% discount.
95% off.
Well, you did it. You took a lot from your advertising world, so that's awesome.
There you go.
Well, that's fantastic. So with the book, though,
yeah,
people are going to want to read this: Magic, Illusion, and Unbelievable Truth of Youth League Sports by Donnie Llama and Oliver Stone. Where do we find that?
Okay, that's on Amazon. It's The Magic, the Illusion, and the Unbelievable Truth of Youth League Sports. Okay, here's an issue with it. Okay, I made the book too big. Okay, so you can't get a printed version as of now because the book's about 900 pages or something, and there is a print limit that I didn't know of before I submitted the book.
There's not enough trees anymore, Donnie. Did you get that?
So you have to do the new electronic version. You can download it as a PDF or on one of your.
And it's a great read while we're sitting in an Uber car or flying on a plane.
Yeah, I think the way to read it is just you go through it and look at. It's broken down by different types of illusions. Just take it one illusion group at a time. There's a whole section on early specialization, for example, where it all came from, how we got to that point, and what it does to kids. The pros and the cons, and there's usually more cons, especially for those who won't ever become the elite athlete. Those are the ones that are really going to feel the brunt of the pain, because there's only the creme of the creme get to be the super elite. For the rest of us, we're going to be saying no to opportunities in life because we don't feel like we're worthy, or we don't feel like we're good enough. And we learned that from youth league sports. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So for the coaching program, I've actually seen your coaching program firsthand. Yeah. My people went and looked at your program. It was pretty amazing, the level of detail and attention you pay to the kids and all the small things about the different drills. I mean, you make a big deal about everything. So there's lots of encouragement and enthusiasm about all the little things. So it makes it a lot of fun. And I'm wondering, circling back to original part, how we opened this show up with you, is Inter Miami and David Beckham. You know, he's got a unique opportunity. He worked hard back in the 2000s to get that license to be able to have his own MLS team. And we're lucky he wants to do it here. The piece of land by the airport that he's going to be using for this is going to be huge. And aside from this typical, we're going to put all the Gap stores there, there's a huge portion that's going to be dedicated to small soccer fields. At the end of the day, it's just more space and stuff. But I'm wondering if you have some ideas about how they could utilize that soccer space, not just gigantic fields like you said, 11 versus 11, but to be able to use that portion of the entire stadium to actually develop this youth with a program like you have with All-Star Coaching. Yeah,
there's a number of systems. As you said, your children participated in the one I developed here on the Key. I called it the STARS Developmental System. It really doesn't matter what it's called, but I kind of like that name.
By the Donnie Llama.
But basically what I did is I took the LTAD model, and I plugged in my version of it, which explains how children operate. The LTAD model just basically says this is what we need to be doing, and the SDS, STARS Development, this is how you do it. Okay, there was a how-to factor missing, and I just plugged in the how-to factor. So how do you go about doing it? Well, you create little tiny stations with young children. You keep them moving, you keep them active, you understand that they're all developing at different levels. I call it the red, white, and blue system. If you're accelerated, then you would be a blue star, as I would refer to it, or a bright star. That's kind of the term I use. If you're a beginner, this is your first time out, then you would be a rising star, and you would wear maybe a red band to distinguish you as at that level. Everything's very fluid, so as you progress within your groups and you're competing with same level individuals regardless of your age, it's the same level.
Okay.
Think martial arts. Okay? That's the way to think of this. White belts compete against white belts regardless of their age.
Gotcha.
Okay? So we do that. Then if you're too good for that group or you've accelerated, then we move you up to the white band group, which is kind of in the middle of the red and the blue. So that's just sort of, and you do that through all these different drill sets, and every drill set you create a game and make it fun. Okay, it might be, for example, in basketball, it might be dribble tag. Now you could take the same game.
Dribble tag, that is really cool.
Yeah, so you could do the same thing with soccer. You got to dribble with your feet and go tag somebody, right?
Now normally drills are, here's the ball, go there as fast as you can. We're going to measure how fast you dribbled it. You're saying completely different approach.
Right. This is about, because the traditional way is to set up a bunch of cones, right? Now children are all associative learners. Okay, and you throw them in a game afterwards, they're going, where are the cones? Where are the cones? There's a moving thing coming at me trying to take my ball. Well, you get that experience in a game like dribble tag. There's somebody trying to move away from you or steal your ball. So that's more relatable in moving them from practice into game versus trying to move them from cones to game. Okay, so I'm constantly coming up with ideas to work with how their brain works create a drill that's fun, that they're excited about. No, for example, in basketball, I used to give them a point for passing the ball. Just pass the ball, you get a point.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So it's not because children are egocentric. Okay, it's all about them. So you have to reward them to become a team player. And what do? You give them a point. You praise them. Great job, wonderful pass, right? So we want to encourage passing in all of these sports, and soccer is the same way. You don't want just one kid taking the ball from one end of the pitch and trying to maneuver through all the other kids and then striking the ball at the other end. No, it's a team sport. Spread everybody out, kick the ball, and you can do that by creating rules and rewards within the system. And we can get our minds out of these boxes of, oh, this is the way the rules are, and you only get a point for scoring a goal. Come on, people. Get your head out of the box.
Let's celebrate more.
That's right, man. Especially in this country. That's one of the reasons why we don't like soccer. Not enough points.
That's really funny. So on that note, to kind of tie off with this conversation in the show, basically what you're saying is, the framework's there. You get to add a lot more. You get to have a deeper conversation. You have a lot more involvement with these players, giving them an opportunity to play and have fun and express themselves and to grow. And the end result is happier families, happier people, and probably a lot better players. So on that note, going back to DC here, what I'd love to do is say thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us on the Revelator 94.5 FM Blink Radio. Again, special thank you to our guests, the Donnie Llama, Coach Donnie Hall. And let's hear more of this.